like Sour Patch Kids?
I like sour candies.
How do you feel about Sour Patch Kids? So
I like them.
Are you more a sour candy guy than a chocolate candy guy?
No, I'm a candy guy, like, period.
Period up.
I like Sour Patch, but I also like chocolate candy.
Prefer chocolate candy. This is not interesting. I was just going to say it when the camera's turned on. And I just figured I'd finish my thought anyway. How do you like Warheads, though?
I remember Warheads as a kid.
I don't know if they still exist.
They still do. Don't you remember I did a Warhead Malort?
Pass the lips, over the gums, look out stomach, here it comes. That's not half bad.
Oh, yeah, you infused. Yeah.
Yeah, so they do exist, and I still have some at the house. The Warheads. Oh. Not the Malort. I drank the Malort.
Anyway.
Speaking of Warheads.
Here we go, because there's a war movie.
Yeah, it's a war movie, yeah.
Paramount Pictures and Warner Brothers present South Park.
This is gonna be the best movie ever.
Invading
Eric, did you just say the F word?
your theater.
The machinery of the V-chip emits a small shock of electricity whenever an obscenity is uttered.
Son, we accidentally replaced your heart with a baked potato. You have about 3 seconds to live.
South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut.
South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut.
Yep.
Great war movie.
1999.
Decent year. It's okay. I didn't know. I've seen this movie a gazillion times. I love it. It's hilarious. It's genius. I love South Park. This is embarrassing. I didn't know that the title was a dick joke until somewhat recently.
Serious?
Yeah. Because I saw this, I was probably like, first time I saw South Park, I think I was 10.
It's fair, because, 1999, you're not that old, so.
Right, but I the show, I saw it probably just like as a one-off, and then watched it more continuously, like junior high into high school, and then saw the movie probably when I was like 14, maybe. And I don't know why, because dick jokes were the funniest.
Yeah, that would be prime time for dick jokes.
It's pretty obvious that it's a dick joke.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it until a few years ago. It just never occurred to me. I don't know why.
When in doubt with the South Park guys, it's probably a dick joke.
Yeah. Do you think Uncut Gems is a dick joke too?
Yes.
I disagree.
But actually, no, it can't be, because Jewish.
That's the joke.
That he's not Jewish?
No, it's ironic.
Oh, it's ironic.
It's ironic.
Anyway, this is, so I didn't know it was a dick joke, but it's on brand for the whole kind of humor. It's also so part of, in that vein, Saddam Hussein being homosexual, that is having sex with the devil. Hilarious, but also very 90s is this idea. Because I remember not just I don't remember the Gulf War. I was involved.
The first Gulf War.
Yeah, I was not
the second.
I was a sperm then. But in the late 90s, all the conflict going on with the tension rising with Saddam before the Iraq War.
Yeah.
And as we bombed Iraq at one point, I think under Clinton. My timeline's all messed up.
I don't remember that. I remember the whole Kosovo thing. I don't remember Iraq.
It's all, throw up a Wikipedia screenshot of something. But Saddam was the boogeyman.
Oh, he was definitely
in between the
boogeyman,
two
yeah.
Gulf Wars.
Yeah.
It's this, kind of like Kim Jong-un was, or is. Kim Jong-un was the one.
Yes, he's the current boogeyman.
But yeah, he was the boogeyman. It's such good satire to be we're gonna fucking kill the guy and then make him gay and have him get fucked by the devil.
Yeah. And it's also good because they credit the devil and Saddam Hussein as being played by themselves.
yeah. That's why, in the trailer for Team America, World Police, which is, I don't know how we haven't talked about that movie yet. It in the start it says, what you think it's the cast? It says George Clooney, Michael Moore, George Bush, Al Gore. And it's all popping up. You think it's a loaded cast, and it just says they're all gonna hate this movie. Same concept, but I don't know if anyone besides Trey Parker and Matt Stone right now would make a movie say. I guess The Interview came out recently, and that was a little dicey. Making fun of North Korea.
Well, it made fun of North Korea, but it didn't make fun of North Korea. It was kind of there was a little bit of it, but it was enough that it wasn't making fun of it.
Right.
As obvious as South Park does.
But these guys are grandfathered in, where if you had new comedy writers come out of the movie where they're we're gonna make fun of Canada and Canadians this hard and go to war with Canada and then kill a world leader and make him gay, even if it's a hated world leader, I feel it wouldn't fly.
Some parts, yes, because the Canada thing, in fact, their like ambassador or something, they asked about this movie, and she was like, "No, I think it's hilarious. It's obviously making a joke."
Yeah.
Like she obviously had enough of a sense of humor to be like, it's a joke. It's obviously a joke.
And it's the idea of going to war with Canada is so absurd. If you
Yeah.
pick one country for the United States to go to war with, that would be the silliest.
Yeah.
It's Canada. But even like the floppy heads with the Canadians and stuff, I feel like they have the credibility built in to do stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have earned the right because they showed pretty early on their equal opportunity in terms of they don't care who they're making fun of. Like, they're making fun of everybody. So nobody is safe in terms of having this kind of satire, comedy, you know, or just straight, you know, making fun of them. And they get away with it because of that. So, and it's funny because you get, like, when they are making fun of somebody who happens to be conservative, you get people who are liberal are like, yeah, you see, they got him right. Like, that's 100%. And then if they're making fun of somebody who's liberal, they're like, no, absolutely not. That's so mean. How could you? Like Team America, right?
Yeah.
Where they're making fun of all of the anti-war folks and Michael Moore and then you get conservatives and they're like, yeah, see, they're making fun of them. That's 100% right. Like, you know you're doing something right when people both like you and hate you simultaneously.
Yeah, cause it's not an intentional thing. Like, we have to make sure that we make fun of both sides equally. I feel like legacy news media takes that approach where like we like hit both sides equally. Like we'll call out both sides. It's not bad. It's just if you have a guiding principle, in this case, funny and satire, you're naturally going to make fun of both sides. It's you're motivated by humor.
Yeah.
Like I very openly hate the Babylon Bee. And you might find something in the Babylon Bee funny, but they're not motivated by humor. They're motivated by liberal tears and owning the libs and all the shit. And when you're motivated by something that's like that, or if you're at Fox News and you're telling yourself you have to get a few shots in at Republicans for the guise of looking fair and balanced, it's going to come across as contrived because that's not what you're motivated by. You know, like these guys are motivated by being funny, and that's why they hit both sides. It's not like, oh, we made fun of liberals last week, so we have to make fun of conservatives this week.
Well, they do a good job of it. I mean, this goes to the show, right? And how they developed the show, that they do this in a week.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, at this point, it's different from before, but like, they do this in a week where it's, what's in the news cycle today? Oh, it's, you know, we're going to talk about Caitlyn Jenner, and we're going to make fun of Caitlyn Jenner. And they do it because it's relevant now. And next week, it might not be Caitlyn Jenner. It might be, Ted Cruz going to Mexico and when, Texas is freezing cold.
Right.
They don't pick and choose. They let the story come to them,
right,
which is genius. And I mean, less of it in this movie because the movie is actually like thought out about what the storyline is, and it's not like we're just going to take this. Yeah,
but the storyline hits on things that are still relevant to today.
Yeah.
Censorship.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big one, I would say, and parenting, like helicopter parents and all that kind of stuff. And it's the plot still hits because it's like these parents are so upset and want so much censorship that they're willing to go to an all-out war over it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's kind of ingenious and funny the way that they do it, where even in this movie, right, where they're kind of lambasting that helicopter parent thing and then contrasting that with the kids swearing as much as they are, because what happens with kids when they're out of the eyesight of their parents? They're swearing, they're telling dick jokes, they're doing all of these things that the parents are telling them not to do. It's kind of genius. Like, these guys get the structure of a joke, and they get the structure of how to build a joke and have it be, you're gonna like me and hate me at the same time.
Yeah, and the swearing of the kids too, to this day, stuck in my head. Shut your fucking face,
Uncle Fucker, yeah.
Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker. You're a cocksucking ass licking Uncle Fucker.
Well, I mean, because they had 399 swear words in this movie.
That feels almost intentional.
146 of those are fuck. What the fuck? But 399 was intentional. Do you want to know why it was intentional?
Does 400 push it to something?
400 pushes it to NC-17.
Really?
Uh-huh. So the MPAA said, if you have 400 swear words, you're getting an NC-17. And so they said,
ridiculous.
okay, we're going to make 399 swear words.
Do you know if that's still a rule?
I don't know if it's still a rule, but it was a rule.
Because I feel like there are definitely movies that would push that.
Well, I don't know about that. Because think about how many times they we shouldn't say fuck, no, we shouldn't say fuck, no.
Yeah, that's good.
How many times do they say fuck in a row?
400 is a lot.
Yeah.
Matt Damon said recently that Good Will Hunting, I think it's R, fact check, and he wanted to get it down to PG-13, and they told him, like, you have too many fucks. I think it was fuck. Maybe it was his curse word. It had to be fuck for it to be PG-13, and he said,
what's making it rated R? And they said the language. And I said, okay, well, so we could loop a couple lines. And they go, yeah, but you're only allowed, I think at the time you were allowed to say the F word 3 times. And I said, okay, well, how many are we off by? And they said, you go over by 145.
He's like, okay, we can't. We're not going to make it.
Yeah, and there's a lot with this, like, with the MPAA, that, like, they had all of these really dumb things that they basically forced the South Park guys to do to make it not be NC-17. So, like, for example, what they wanted to do, so Cartman's mother, right? Oh, I found the video of your mom, Cartman.
Dude, it's a lady getting pooed on. Whoa, is it Cartman's mom? Oh, very funny. Hey, it is Cartman's mom.
Originally what it was supposed to be was Cartman's mom getting by a horse. And the MPAA was like, you can't have bestiality, like you can't have somebody getting by a horse. You have to change it.
Even if it's a cartoon?
Even if it's a cartoon. And so they changed it to Cartman's mom getting shit on instead. But when the doctor is showing Cartman the pictures, he's showing a horse somebody, horse f***er. So like they still got horse f***er in there, but it was not Cartman's mom, who they never show getting f***ed by a horse, getting f***ed by a horse.
That's really funny.
But again, getting shit on is perfectly okay.
That's hilarious. I think I learned shortly before I watched this movie for the first time that shit in German was Scheiße.
Yeah.
So it made it so much funnier in that scene when you hear the word Scheiße come on.
Okie dokie.
It's the old adage of comedy that you don't actually have to see it for it to be funny.
Yes.
And I think they do a good line. They have a good line of that in South Park in general, right? But where they do show things enough that you get people all up in arms, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they showed that. But then they're also like all the behind the scenes things that like you don't see. That
yeah. It's sometimes they show stuff where it's so ridiculous that it's being animated in front of you that the fact that it's being shown is funny. Like, have you seen the Goobacks episode?
Yes.
And at the end, they're like, we have to stop the Goobacks, let's all have gay sex.
Everyone back in the pile.
Back in the pile, everyone!
So they'll get, all the men get naked and jump into a pile and start fucking each other, and they show it.
Yep.
And it's not funny because men having sex is funny. That's not why it's funny. Even a pile of men having sex is not funny. The reason it's funny is that they're willing to animate it and show just like, they have like the noise of the skin and like the penetration, and it's on screen for a few seconds, and it's so like the fact that we're watching this is what's funny.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't be.
Yeah, so the shock value, right? Like, and I think they came in at a time shortly after Beavis and Butthead, where they're like, Beavis and Butthead was a lot of shock value, and you kind of get a similar thing with South Park, where it's like, okay, we're going to push this shock value, but we're also going to be like, there's something serious underlying what we're talking about here.
100%. Yeah, and also, I don't know, when, like, I think South Park came out in 96, I want to say.
You're a fucking idiot!
Do you remember it being thought of as stupid, and then I feel like it was never thought of as like a really, really stupid show, but I feel like it turned at some point to be thought of as a more intelligent show.
Yes. So when it first started, it was definitely seen as like a stupid show.
Because it was kids swearing.
Yes, it was kids swearing, and there was some satire that was there, but it wasn't as on point as it has become. Where again, they're picking a story on that week and they're doing this storyline and seeing it through. I think Matt and Trey kind of found a way to develop the humor and to develop that kind of intelligent humor while still being crass along the line.
Yeah, it definitely evolved, but now when you go back and think about this, I think it is smart. When this came out, it wasn't the show, the brand, wasn't necessarily thought of as like brilliant satire.
Yeah, I mean, I agree entirely, and I think with the movie too, it was also like, okay, they're doing this movie, it's really stupid. But just like going in and watching Billy Madison, like we talked about during Happy Gilmore, you know what you're getting going into it. Like, you're not going into this thinking that this is highbrow humor, even if there is highbrow like commentary under the surface. You know what you're getting, a bunch of kids who are swearing and, you know, making fart jokes, and Kenny dies all the time. Like, you know what the joke is, so you know what you're getting.
Yeah, I don't know when the last time I necessarily watched it is, but it's every so often. Whenever I see it, it feels fresh.
I might as well kick it.
Yeah,
It's like I'm not sick of it or anything.
yeah. I mean, and I think, you know, some of the jokes that they do, again, we talk about like being offensive to people. The whole Operation Get Behind the Darkies.
Battalion 14? Right, you are Operation Get Behind the Darkies.
Have you ever heard of the Emancipation Proclamation?
I don't listen to hip-hop.
That they do.
Yeah.
And Chef is like, what?
What?
You know, the way that they have this joke, which is full on, like, they, again, as you point out, like, they kind of have that built-in reputation, so they can kind of get away with it.
Yeah.
The way that they're able to tell that joke, and you're there and you're watching it and you're laughing at it, and you're just like, that's hilarious. You're not going, man, that's offensive. That's really offensive to say something like that. You're like, oh, that's really funny.
Yeah, and it's making fun of more so the military being racist, like the history of racism going back 200 years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that even if you don't know that, you know that.
Yeah.
Which is still pretty funny. I do want to note about, so South Park on the whole, they got George Clooney, right, to be the dog. And that was always like the kind of inside joke, like George Clooney's the dog because he barked once, right? He actually gets his ability to be in this movie by being the doctor.
You replaced your heart with a baked potato.
And so he's actually named as, it's George Clooney in South Park as the doctor, not as George Clooney the dog.
Right.
Which I thought was a nice little nod. But the other one, which just shows who Matt and Trey are, you know, Blame Canada was nominated as for best song, and it is. They lost. Spoiler alert, they lost. To Phil Collins.
Yeah.
For Tarzan. What did Matt and Trey do because they lost? They roasted him on a South Park episode.
And I think you shouldn't laugh at people with disabilities.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Funny.
getting back at him. Like, fuck you for beating us. We're gonna make fun of you now.
Oh, that's good. Do you have a favorite South Park episode?
A favorite episode?
I'm putting it on the spot. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them, and to be honest with you, I actually haven't watched South Park in a long time.
I don't really watch it regularly anymore.
As far as like a favorite episode, I don't know. I'd really have to go back and think about that. How about you?
The Goobacks is up there.
They took our jobs.
Scott Tenorman Must Die.
Oh,
is
Scott
up there,
Tenorman is a
too.
good one. That's, yeah.
I made you eat your parents.
Man, Chef Dying.
Yeah,
See that one?
Chef dying because he is a Scientologist, and and Isaac Hayes was a Scientologist and was upset about South Park lambasting Scientology, which also is a good episode. That's like
very good.
making fun of Scientology.
The way they killed him because they couldn't use his voice because he quit the show at that point.
How could this happen to me? I made my mistakes.
So they just used sound bites of other things he said and put them together. And the boys are like, why is he talking so weird? And the reason is he's a child molester, and that's how they talk or something. He was in what's that, NAMBLA?
NAMBLA,
yeah. And then they kill him at the end, and he falls off a cliff and then gets struck by light. Or no, he falls, I can't remember the exact order, but throughout that whole episode, they're making a running joke about how Cartman's claiming the last thing you do before you die is shit your pants.
Yeah.
And other boys don't believe him. And Chef falls on a cliff, and they're like, oh.
Maybe he's still okay. No, really. They say the last thing you do before you die is crap your... Oh, never mind.
One of my favorite ones, though, is with Chef and the Loch Ness Monster.
And I said, we'll take a graham crunch. How much would that be? And she looks at me and she says, I need about $3.50.
Not as the episode as a whole, but like the whole like leading up to.
Also, the idea that his parents live in Scotland.
Yes.
Funny.
Yeah. They do a very good job of picking their battles and.
The Christian Cartman starting
the Christian rock band.
Yeah.
Or the Christian rock band or the boy band.
Those are both. Is
that the same?
It's the same episode, right? Because Cartman breaks away. Is it the same episode?
It might. I don't remember.
The boy band.
All I know is finger bang.
I think it's the same episode because then Cartman tries to win a platinum album.
That might be. It might be. Yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah.
And he tells Token, he's like, Token, go get the bass out of your garage, or we're gonna start a band. And Token's like, I don't play bass. And Cartman's like, Token, you're black. You can play bass.
Hey, there was a bass guitar in my basement.
I told you, Token.
That's another element of being grandfathered into
Yeah.
it, where it's like they can get.
Which, by the way, you say Token, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's
it's changed, right?
Yeah.
And they totally, not to use this term because I know that it's very, but they totally gaslit everybody.
What? Right.
Because they were like, his name is Tolkien.
Yeah.
Like J.R.R. Tolkien from Lord of the Rings. Like, and it has always been Tolkien. Even though the earlier episodes, it was always Token.
I thought your name was Token. Like the token black person.
And then they went back and changed all of the previous episodes so that it's Tolkien.
Because the new episode is like Stan or Kyle, I can't remember who it is, thinks they're racist because they were always calling him Token.
Yeah. I mean, that's just genius, yeah.
Yeah. I got nothing else on this.
I got nothing else.
Nothing!
I mean, just great movie. The show itself is really good, and they found a way to make it the movie, and thankfully, they will not, as far as I know, not be doing a sequel of this.
Well, they could,
although
though.
they said that there technically is a sequel, is the Imagination Land story line that they then combined into one episode, which is the length of a movie, and they said that's kind of a sequel.
And the COVID one is long.
But Matt and Trey always said if we did a sequel, like that would be the end of South Park to begin. Like that's it.
That makes
like
sense.
South
But
Park ends with that.
It's not really a sequel. They just do another South Park movie.
Yeah.
I think they could do it and then end the show.
Yeah, as long as it's not a sequel, as it's a standalone movie.
Yeah. What's your score?
I'm gonna go pretty high on this because I think that South Park has earned the right. I'm gonna go 7.5.
I'll go a little bit lower, 7.2.
7.7.
Really high, nice.
Really high. That's one of the higher. I mean, that's probably the highest animated.
What other animated movies have we?
I mean, not that we've done. I'm just saying, like in general, like highest animated comedy movie.
What are we kind of kids movies?
Comedy.
Well, there are kids movies that are comedies. They're animated.
Like what?
Rango.